Welcome to my channel where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy and development in Nigeria and around the world. Nigeria is having a serious insecurity problem, and indeed there is part of that insecurity that is taking place in northern Nigeria that is very troubling. That is what is about to be discussed now. It is about the war between Hausa and Fulani and how it has implication for food security in Nigeria and for Nigeria's stability, and why there is a concerted effort being made by some group to see that this problem is solved. It is not a problem that the media often talk about, the way they talk about Umuleri and Aguleri, okay, or other skirmishes that involve different ethnic groups. Now the media has just addressed this as a banditry problem, but it has been described as a war between Hausa and Fulani, and that war has national implication, and that is why it needs to be nipped in the bud before it consumes the whole nation. In April 3, 2021 publication of the Vanguard newspaper, the paper and its reporter, who is a northerner, described banditry as Hausa Fulani war, and that was the description that was given to it in Zamfara based on that report. That banditry that you are seeing, all of us are talking about banditry in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, banditry in the north central. See that banditry is an Hausa Fulani war, and then Zamfara tried to trace the origin of this latest war, and the statistics that came out from Zamfara alone is troubling. Now, according to the explanation, the problem started in 2013 because they say this started after the killing of Fulani leader, and after that killing, that the Fulani allegedly launched aggression against the Hausa. According to the report, I pasted this Vanguard reports on this wall on the screen so that you can go and read it further to understand the enormity of the problem that we are at hand. I bring in this 2021 report in line of recent development where some group are calling on the Sultan of Sokoto to intervene to solve the problem. Now, according to this Vanguard report in 2021, in 8 years, bandits have collected 970 million naira as ransom. They have killed 2,619. Now, take note that this report was published in 2021. So these are the things that happened before that report was published. You can imagine what had happened since 2021 to date. So in 8 years, bandits have collected 970 million as ransom, killed 2,619, displaced 100,000, kidnapped 1,190, restored 14,378 animals. And now, as at that 2021, there are 100 camps with no fewer than 300 bandits in each camp with sophisticated weapons. Now, this description by the Vanguard newspaper, by their correspondent who investigated this report in 2021, this sounds like something out of Somalia. But this is a problem happening in northern Nigeria. And this is a report from Zamfara. And it is typical of what is happening in much of the northwest Nigeria, and then northeast, and then north central, including Niger. Niger State is in north central. It is facing the same challenge. And it is not a northern problem. It is a nationwide problem. You will see it as we go on, how this is a national problem. Because as the Fulani is having problem in the north with the Hausa, those of them who can escape are looking for a more peaceful environment, and they are moving to southwest, they are moving to southeast, they are moving to south. And as they move to those places, you see that things are also falling apart in those places, and the center can no longer hold. So you now see how something that can start in a place can become a national problem, and why it is important that we do this kind of intervention or talk about it, so that something can be done to remedy the situation. Now, one of the groups that have taken it up to see a solution to this is a socio-cultural group, the Fulbe Global Development and Rights Initiative. They have called on the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar, to intervene and end the crisis between the Fulani and Hausa in Nigeria. And the group bemoaned constant clashes between the Fulani and Hausa in northern Nigeria, and distanced itself from other criminal elements linked to their kinsmen. Each President General, Dr. Salim Musa Omar, who made the appeal at the Fulbe Global Development and Rights Initiative annual general meeting, said the Fulanis were being profiled and linked to criminal activities in Nigeria in order to be maimed without recourse. He said that the Fulani currently faces existential threat and call on all Nigerians to rise and avert the impending genocide against the race. That's what they are claiming, that there's an impending genocide against the Fulani in Nigeria. Umar said over 156 Fulani and 7,000 cattle have been killed in the first quarter of 2024, mostly in Plateau, Kaduna, Zamfara, Taraba, and Niger states, respectively. He said that the Fulani anywhere in this country and many other countries have become an easy prey and likely to be linked, compared, or attacked to, or attached. It was said that Fulani is being attached to all kinds of vices. If there's anything that went wrong anywhere, they say it's Fulani that did it. That's what it's alleging. That Fulani is an easy prey and likely to be linked or attached to all forms of vices. He went on to say that the narrative that is being sold in Nigeria, trying to pitch the Hausa against the Fulani, is not something that we can fold our hands and watch. He said a Hausa killing a Fulani and a Fulani killing a Hausa is such a big challenge. All of them are Muslims in Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and other states in northern Nigeria. And our revered fathers are keeping quiet. It is high time we set a committee that will take us to the Sultan to take the leadership seriously and settle the Fulani and Hausa feud. As a race, we are facing existential threat. If a Fulani is not safe in Sokoto State, I don't know where he will be safe in this country, he said. Omar, however, admitted that miscreants among the Fulani race were committing crimes. He said, and I quote, he said, the criminals among us are not representing us. They are not our ambassadors. We didn't ask them to go into banditry or kidnapping or on our behalf. We didn't ask them to go into banditry or kidnapping on our behalf. They are criminals and must be identified as that. They are not representing Fulbe. So no Fulbe should be tagged because some of his brothers are involved in kidnapping and banditry. Now, there are some things we need to take note of. The emergence and unabating intensification of kidnapping for ransom and other forms of rural and urban banditry in the Northwest, where most of the villains are Fulani and most of the victims are Hausa, has ignited what you can call a civil war between the two groups. In response to the rural and urban banditry by mostly Fulani brigands against Hausa people, the Hausa people have formed vigilante groups which they call Yambanga for self-defense. But the Fulani are alleging that the Yambanga that was formed for self-defense has been indiscriminately killing innocent Fulani people who are not even remotely connected with abduction, murders, and what have you. Now, this has provoked an endless cycle of recrimination and retaliatory violence between the Hausa and the Fulani people. And this has really damaged the age-long cordial relationship between them over the years, the ethnic fusion. You know, you hear about Hausa Fulani as inseparable group, but you can see that all this banditry had created a tension between them because the Hausas are mostly farmers, settled farmers, and the Fulanis that they are having problem as itinerary. They move from one place to another with their cattle, and as they go with their cattle and graze on the farms of the Hausa farmers, problem began to increase because now with climate change and what have you, grasses are becoming scarce, water points are becoming rare. So there is a conflict between the Hausa and the Fulani on available land resources in northern Nigeria, and that is part of the problem that we are seeing going on. But it is a problem that is surmountable if the leaders in the north and Nigeria as a country is determined to solve it. Now, this has been going on for years under the radar of the national and international media until the BBC's BBC Africa Eye documentary brought it to the forefront of global attention in East July 24, 2022 documentary titled The Bandits Warlord of Zamfara. You can go and check it out and watch. It's on YouTube. The Bandits Warlord of Zamfara. Now, that documentary showed that although the Hausa and the Fulani share a common culture, religion, heritage, and language, they are for the most part divided and rarely mix in rural areas. They fight over land, water, and food. If you watch the documentary, you will see a self-confessed Fulani bandits telling the BBC that Hausa people enjoy preferential treatment in government jobs and that Fulani people face discrimination in the formal sector in northern Nigeria, and that kidnapping, banditry, and indiscriminate mass murder were the only way they could call attention to their plight. That's what they said in that documentary. We'll check it out. Now, the documentary really unsettled the Muhammad Buhari administration when BBC aired it. In fact, the government didn't want that documentary to be seen, but they can't control BBC. It's on YouTube now, it's everywhere. But the Nigerian television stations that aired it were punished with fine by the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. They were fined because it was not an information that the Buhari administration wanted Nigerians to know about or to talk about. But that is a problem with sweeping things under the carpet. Now, they want it to be swept under the carpet, but you can't sweep it under the carpet and just be addressing it as just banditry problem we're having in the country. Now you can see a Fulani group talking about the fact that there is a problem between Hausa and Fulani, because you have to know the root of the problem before you can solve it. You can't just generalize that what's going on in the northern Nigeria is just banditry. It is beyond that. It is about struggle for water, land, and other resources therein. So the last administration of President Muhammad Buhari swept this matter under the carpet, but the carpet is burning because it is too hot for it to contain what was swept under it. Now, and also the northern elites, it's not an issue they discuss a lot, or they want it to be discussed, because when it comes to politics, they give the impression that all is well in the north. But we know that all is not well. That was why you can see during the election how the Middle Belt Forum, Middle Belt is in the center of Nigeria, like in the north central Nigeria. You can see how they issued a statement saying that they are supporting a southern presidential candidate, and that was Peter Obi of the Labour Party, to show you that North is not as close-knitted together like people imagine. But even in the conservative North, like Sokoto, like Zamfara, like Katsina and all that, there's a problem. That was why you can see in the report by the Fulbe group saying that if a Fulani cannot feel safe in Sokoto, where else can he feel safe in Nigeria? Just he brought that to draw attention to the enormity of the problem going on between Hausa and Fulani, even in Sokoto. So that's why they brought up the issue, and that's why we are talking about it right now. Because even the traditional institutions are not talking about it. When they talk about it, they generalize it. This is just a problem of banditry that need to be addressed. But the root cause of the banditry is not being discussed, and that is what this group is talking about. That it should be, the matter should be addressed squarely. There is ongoing killings between Hausa and Fulani over resources in northern Nigeria, particularly over land, water, and other things that has to do with land resources. Now, this group, Fulbe Global Development and Rights Initiative, want this problem to be addressed, and they want the most powerful traditional leader in the north, the Sultan of Sokoto to lead the peace process. Now, having given you this background, giving you all this, I want you to understand why I'm doing this video, because it is of national importance. It is of national importance. Why did I say that? It is of national importance because what is happening between the Hausa and Fulani in Northwest has repercussion nationwide. For example, northern Nigeria is the bastion of agricultural productivity in Nigeria. Northern Nigeria has vast land, uncultivated land that in normal circumstance they put part of this uncultivated land to productive use. But now they are busy fighting over land, water, and other resources. Farmers in the northern Nigeria cannot go to their farms, whether in the north central, whether in the northeast, whether in the northwest. So the land resources that are supposed to be put to productive use is not being put to productive use. What are the consequences? The consequences include the high cost of food produce in Nigeria. Most of the rice we eat in Nigeria come from northern Nigeria. If you are talking about local rice, not imported rice. But when rice farmers cannot farm in northern Nigeria, what do you expect? When northern farmers cannot farm onions, what do you think will be the price of onions? If northern farmers cannot farm tomatoes, what do you think will happen to the price of tomatoes in the market? If they cannot farm beans, what do you think will be the cost of the price of beans in Nigeria? Now, if you say, okay, we'll substitute all this produce coming from north, millet and what have you, with imported, do you know the pressure what that puts in our national resources, the pressure it puts on our currency? And that is why Nigerian Naira is performing so poorly in terms of value. So these are issues to show you that what happens here is of national scale, of national importance that should be looked into. Now, with the intensity of the crisis, or like can call it war, between the Hausa and the Fulani in northern Nigeria, many of the Fulani headers are forced to move to a more peaceful environment in southwest, southeast, and south. And the result is that same problem that manifested in the north that was not solved is now being transferred nationwide. Only recently, you heard that the southwest farmers has signed peace accord with Meetiala. Why did they do that? Because the same crisis of herders farmers clashes in the north has reared its head in southwest Nigeria. Farmers cannot go to farm, and the southwest people or farmers felt overwhelmed that they cannot continue to be fighting with the herdsmen, that they have to reach an agreement, have a peace accord. Whether that thing is okay is a story that I have dealt with, because I don't consider it a sustainable way, because I believe seriously that the sustainable way of dealing with this matter is through law enforcement. Law enforcement has been weak in Nigeria. If the law enforcement is strong, you don't need Meetiala and southwest farmers to sign peace accord before southwest farmers can freely go to their farms that they inherited from their forefathers, their ancestral land. It's not done anywhere in the world. It is because the law enforcement has been so weak in Nigeria. That's why you have Omoteku, but Omoteku has also failed, because if Omoteku could maintain law and order in southwest, there wouldn't be any need for Southwest farmers to sign peace accord so that Southwest farmers can go to farm without fear of being killed or kidnapped or whatever. Now the same thing is happening in the Southeast. Recently you heard about the sacking of communities in Enugu State by alleged headers. You hear all this kind of thing even in South Nigeria. So that is why these things require holistic solution. My own solution to it is that, one, government should support them to stop open grazing and help them to establish ranches in northern Nigeria. The vast land of northern Nigeria can be made suitable for cattle rearing without moving cattle from one place to the other. A lot of people are already doing it. Government should support them to do it so that no header will be forced to leave south, northwest, or northeast, or north central and start moving down south. Let them stay in their environment. Let them be provided with the facilities they need. Let them stay put in that place. That is the best practices all over the world. The majority of meat that we eat around the world is not by open grazing. No. And then every state in Nigeria should have anti-open grazing law, and it must be enforced, no matter whose ox is gone. That is the solution to this problem. Any other solution is not sustainable. Not the peace accord in Southwest, not any other arrangement. It is ensuring that the Fulani header stays in northern Nigeria, have access to the vast land of northern Nigeria, provided with the enabling environment to do his business. That is the solution to this problem. If not, if this continues, what will happen to Nigeria will make Somalia look like a child's play. That's my take from what I have seen in this matter. Thank you for watching this video, and if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.